I remember the laughter like it was yesterday. The way their faces twisted in mockery, their voices slicing through the air like the sharpest blades. "You'll lose your mind, Claire," my mother said, her words dripping with disdain. "This obsession with diseases, with the occult, it's unhealthy. You'll disgrace the family." I was 17 then, trembling on the precipice of my passion, and I could feel the weight of their disbelief crushing my spirit. Years later, I returned home. Not as the fragile girl they had scorned, but as a woman forged in the crucible of shadows and forbidden knowledge. I was Claire, the Plague Archivist, renowned for uncovering the dark truths of occult epidemics that the world would rather forget. The irony was not lost on me. I had become a specter of the very horror they deemed ridiculous, a chilling warning of the dangers they had dismissed. The day I walked through the door of my childhood home, a chill swept over me. The air was thick with the scent of old wood and dust, memories lurking in every corner. My family was gathered in the living room, their faces drawn in tight lines of suspicion and disbelief. They had aged, but their scorn remained unchanged. "What do you want, Claire?" my father grunted, his voice a low growl, as if he could smell the darkness that clung to me. "I've come to share what I've learned," I said, trying to keep my voice steady, but I could feel the tremors of my past creeping back in. "About the plagues, the patterns, Enough," my brother Mark spat, his eyes narrowing. "You're still chasing ghosts. This is embarrassing. You've wasted your life." The laughter echoed in my mind, a haunting refrain that refused to fade. But I had no time for their derision. I pulled out my notebook, pages filled with meticulous research, the fruits of my obsession. "You don't understand," I urged, desperation creeping into my tone. "The outbreaks, they're not random. There's something orchestrating them, something inhuman." I could see the laughter in their eyes, the way they dismissed me like a child spinning wild tales. "Go on then," my mother said, feigning interest, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Tell us about your invisible monsters." I felt a surge of anger, a burning need to make them see. "You think I'm delusional? You think I'm insane? Just wait. I can prove it." And that's when it happened. The weight of the knowledge I carried pressed down on me like a suffocating shroud, and I could feel the air grow colder, the shadows lengthening. I took a deep breath, summoning the courage to share what I had uncovered. "There's a town, a forgotten place where the last plague struck. It's still haunted by the echoes of what happened there. I've seen it, the darkness that lingers." Their faces morphed from ridicule to confusion, and then to something darker, something primal. "You're scaring us, Claire," my father said, his bravado faltering. "Stop this nonsense." But I couldn't stop. I wouldn't. "They're coming. The shadows of the past, they don't forget. They're drawn to those who seek the truth." As if summoned by my words, a chill swept through the room, the lights flickering ominously. My family's laughter faded, replaced by an unsettling silence. I could feel it, the weight of the unseen, the presence lurking just beyond the veil of our reality. And then it happened. A shadow unfurled in the corner of the room, a dark tendril creaking along the walls, and I watched as my family's faces drained of color. "What? What is that?" my mother whispered, her voice trembling. I could hardly breathe. "It's what I've been warning you about," I said, my heart pounding in my chest. "They don't want to be forgotten." The shadow twisted, coiling around the furniture, and I could see their fear manifesting in wide eyes and trembling hands. Suddenly, the laughter transformed into screams, my brother stumbling back, my father reaching for my mother as if to shield her from something that could not be contained. "You mocked me!" I shouted over the chaos, my voice cracking. "You thought I was insane, and now look." I gestured to the dark mass that pulsed with a life of its own, feeding on their disbelief, their ridicule. The shadow lunged, and I felt its cold breath against my skin. But I stood my ground. I faced it. I survived what you never could. This is the truth you refuse to acknowledge. The air grew thick with terror, and I could feel the weight of their realization crashing down upon them. They had dismissed me, laughed at my fears, and now they were confronted with the very horrors I had spent years unearthing. As the shadow enveloped them, I felt a sense of vindication wash over me. They were no longer the family who had scorned me. They were witnesses to the darkness I had battled, the truth they had denied. And then, just as suddenly as it began, the shadows receded. The room fell silent, the oppressive weight lifting. I stood alone, my family trembling, their faces pale and haunted. "I've become what you feared," I whispered, the reality of my transformation settling in. "And now you know the cost of your disbelief." As I turned to leave, I could feel their eyes on me, no longer filled with derision, but with the chilling understanding of what they had lost. The echoes of their laughter haunted me no more. I had become the truth, the warning, the embodiment of the darkness they had mocked. Walking away from that house, I felt a strange sense of peace. The shadows may have lingered, but I had faced them and lived to tell the tale. I was no longer the fragile girl they had scorned. I was Claire, the Plague Archivist, and I carried the weight of their disbelief like a crown, a reminder of the horrors that lurked just beyond the veil of understanding. And as I stepped into the night, I knew that while I had achieved my triumph, the price had been paid. A chilling reminder that sometimes the truth is far more terrifying than the darkest shadows of our imagination.